Bryson DeChambeau's victory yesterday, was it as big as Team Crusher's victory on the Live Tour last year? Was it?
Did they win the overall title? I missed it.
Believe they did. The Crushers. The Crushers. Joking aside, Alan Shipnuck has another amazing piece post U.S. Open on mygolfspy.com. And he joins us now on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, sir?
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, that is a great car shot, Alan. Where are you? Fill us in.
I'm somewhere between Pinehurst and the Charlotte airport. Not as much Wi-Fi out here as I expected. So my car.
Dude, well, sorry. We'll get you to the airport in those comfortable rocking chairs as fast as humanly possible. I'm reading your column here. If those who haven't read it again, it's mygolfspy.com. And this one line, Brockman and I were just talking here, stands out. That that you say he might be the most dominant force. Now, Bryson DeChambeau, its biggest name and its most dominant force in golf. That's a lot.
That's a lot. I don't think there's any doubt he's the biggest star. I mean, Scottie Scheffler has been on a tremendous run, and winning the Masters is a huge deal. But he's just kind of a nice, sweet guy. The only interesting thing that's ever happened to Scottie Scheffler is he got into a kerfuffle with the law, now exonerated, but he doesn't really give you much on the golf course other than spectacular golf. I mean, Bryson he's box office. He's pure entertainment. He has that star quality. He's a ham. He's a social media influencer. He plays a game in a completely unique way. Chicks dig the long ball, all that stuff. Scottie Scheffler right now might be slightly better than Bryson, but I don't think there's any doubt that Bryson is the biggest star in the game. And because, the Live players and the Tour players only come together at the majors, that's all we have to go on. And Bryson has beat Scottie 2 times out of 3 this year. Small sample size. We'll see what happens at the Open, but Bryson can overwhelm a golf course in a way that Scottie cannot. And if you put Bryson on the average PGA Tour setup, he would be winning a lot of tournaments with the golf he's playing right now. So we need a little more time horizon before we can render a verdict on which one of those guys is the most dominant force in golf. But who's the biggest star? That's done and dusted. That was settled at Pinehurst, and it's definitely Bryson.
And it completes, as you wrote as well. And by the way, I love how I said I love the line, and then I couldn't find it on my screen. The line was, so now the golf world must reckon with the fact that DeChambeau is its biggest star and potentially most dominant force. And then you write later about the redemptive arc, your words again here, of DeChambeau's career the last couple of years. Did you think, Alan, that we would see this arc? Did you think that this was where it was going, where he's gone YouTube, an influencer, an ultimate bro, to just lovable? I mean, lovable, huggable, likable, sensitive, talking about his dad, guy that we saw yesterday there with Mike Tirico on Father's Day.
I'm not sure anybody saw this coming. I mean, it was predictable because in that Bryson had no friends on the PGA Tour. And when he went to Live Golf, he all of a sudden had this, all those guys had that siege mentality in the beginning, and they became intensely bonded. And then he had his own team where the guys on the team had to hang out with him. They had to be his friend, whether they wanted to or not. And it's really the first time in his golfing life that Bryson has had a support system. And, before his father died, I wrote a big story on Bryson going way back to 2015. And one thing that his father told me is, like, Bryson could never play team sports. Like, he was just too intense for the other kids, and he just couldn't understand why they didn't give maximum effort at all times. And that's what attracted him to golf in the first place. And so finally, this lone wolf has kind of found his pack, if you will. And it's been part of this shift. And he's like kind of these wise older veterans who have taught him a lot about the game, but more importantly, a lot about life. I asked one of his teammates who wished to remain anonymous. I said, "What have you taught Bryson?" And he said, "Don't try and find a girlfriend on Instagram." But words,
really,
words to live by. Oh yeah, 100%. But
no, I just don't know if it's good advice. I don't doubt they gave it. I'm just debating whether or not it's good advice. That's all. Forget it. I cut you off.
It depends what kind of girl you're looking for, I think. But so yeah, it's So in this support system, he's really blossomed and he's coming to his own as a golfer. And then the embrace of YouTube, as cheesy as it sounds, like it's turned him into a performer. Like he has realized that, you know, in a way that like a Patrick Cantlay never will. The guy looks like he's constipated at all times. Like nobody wants Patrick Cantlay to ever win because it's such a downer. Whereas Bryson gives so much to the fans, and he understands that professional sports does not exist without the fans. They're the reason for the whole thing. And so he's found a way to, I mean, he shamelessly plays to them, but then he takes all that energy and he kind of refines it into this fuel that has helped propel him onto these great performances. So it you take the style of play, in fact, he's a great looking guy. He's got this exuberant personality, and that he's really embraced this role, and he's turned into must watch TV.
Talking to Alan Shipnuck here from mygolfspy.com, on his way to the Charlotte airport to fly home from Pinehurst after Bryson DeChambeau won. And I hate to phrase it this way, Rory McIlroy lost. He didn't just come in second. He lost with blowing those 2 putts there down the stretch after catching fire and after birdies on 3 out of 4 holes. Alan, the look on his face when he exited, when he saw DeChambeau drop the putt on 18, the way he left, it was painful. And it leaves me waking up this morning asking if he will ever win one of these things again.
That's why, you know, tournament golf is such compelling theater, because you are all alone out there on that stage. You can't hide behind your teammates. And when it starts going bad, it happens in slow motion. You know, it's a lot of time in between shots, and you can feel this energy building. And, you know, Rory played beautiful golf for 14 holes. I mean, he was the hottest player on the golf course. He was 2 shots clear of the field. He had total command of his game. He was driving it beautifully. The big question with Rory at these majors, his putters let him down so many times on Sunday, and he was walking in 20 footers like it was a practice round. I mean, it just felt like this was the moment. It was finally happening. You know, Bryson couldn't hit a fairway and was just scuffling with the golf course the whole time. And then to see Rory just get the yips like that, it was so jarring. And also, you know, the rest of his game let him down too. I mean, he's got a 7-iron there on 16. It's a par 3, balls on a tee, and he can't hit the green. Now, that wasn't an easy flag to get it close to, but you have to hit the green. You know, 18, and when he snipes it into the, you know, this is the generational best driver of the golf ball we've ever seen, snipes it off of 18 fairway and leaves himself in full scramble mode. Like his entire game, as soon as he got the lead, everything flipped. He just started playing tight. And again, you always felt like Bryson was playing to win, and all of a sudden it looked like Roy was playing not to lose, and he just got defensive and tentative, and obviously that was manifested in his putting stroke. You know, the putt on the last hole, the downhill left to right slider on a super fast green, nobody wants that. But he kind of tried to baby it in as if he was worried about the comebacker. The comebacker doesn't matter, as Bryson showed when he made that putt. You have got to make the first putt. Rory should have jammed it in the hole. And just that, and of course the one that he missed on 16, you know, that was an easy straight putt, and he just dead pulled it. It was just a nervous, fast stroke. So it was hard to watch. It really was. And it's definitely fair to question how Rory is going to recover from this. The only glimmer of hope, if you're a McIlroy fan, is that prior to this, the worst loss he'd ever suffered was 2011 Masters. And we had a 4-shot lead on Sunday, and he completely came undone. And, you know, was in the cabin, that famous shot on the 10th hole, shot 80. And the very next major, the U.S. Open, he came back and he won by 8 strokes, and he found something inside of himself to bounce back. It's going to take that kind of soul searching and that kind of tenacity and mental toughness. But it's a lot easier when you're a young phenom without so much scar tissue. I mean, everything Rory's been through on and off the golf course since then, it just seems like his nerve endings are a little fried. And it's unfathomable that he's never going to win another major championship again through this prime when he's winning everything else. But that's where we are. It was a brutal loss, and how he recovers is going to be fascinating.
Alan, you were there. How was it viewed when he left?
A little churlish, a little immature. I mean, but also to me, it was a lost opportunity for Rory, because there have been plenty of gutting losses on the golf course. You think about Greg Norman at Augusta in '96. You think about Phil at Winged Foot. Tom Watson at Turner. You can go down the list. These guys stood up and they faced the music. And in their conversations after the tournament with reporters, the humanity poured out and they became much more sympathetic characters. And the pain they were feeling and the golf world kind of grieved along with them. For Rory just to peel out and jilt essentially the fans, because reporters, we don't matter other than we're the voice of the fans. We get to ask the questions that the fans want the answer to. We're just their Confederates. And fans were kind of denied some closure. They wanted to hear about Rory, what happened, what he was feeling. And so it just was a mistake on a lot of levels. I mean, Rory has banked a lot of goodwill through the years. This is not going to curdle his relationship necessarily with the press or with golf fans, but I think it's going to follow him more. He could have gotten up there, not said a word, and just burst into tears, and the whole world would have wanted to hug him, And now he's just going to prolong this agony. He's still going to have to face the music eventually. So I think it was a tactical mistake, but clearly it's reflective of how much pain he was feeling. And, I'm sure golf fans have know he's been through this thing with his wife where he filed for divorce and they got back together, and the emotional weight of that. Like, I certainly understand him not wanting to talk and not answer questions. Like, that's a human reaction, but, he's paid $80 million a year to be a spokesman for golf and it's one of its biggest stars. And that it's not just when you win, it's also when you lose that people want to hear from you.
Yeah. Do you think he plays this week?
I would be amazed if he did. I mean, I don't know how he gets out of bed and looking forward to the grind of tournament preparation. And, he shut it down at various times in the past, citing mental health breaks that he needed. How does he motivate himself for Hartford, other than maybe he does want to put this behind him and he wants to make some birdies and he wants to make some 3-footers and he just wants to try and put this in the rearview mirror and not let it linger longer. But I mean, I'm personally exhausted just from watching the last round yesterday.
Same.
I don't know how Rory gets out of bed and does it again so soon, but we'll see.
There is, and I said this morning. Look, obviously, card-carrying member of the media. I would want the guy to speak, and as you said, we're doing the job. We're the conduit here. We're here to ask the questions that the fans would love to hear answered. There was part of me yesterday watching him with NBC's great camera work, and obviously he's watching Bryson on 18. Part of me that gets it. Part of me is like, man, this is the one time where I feel for you. I get it. If you want to leave, but it is. I agree with you. Alan Shipnuck, everyone. Read him, mygolfspy.com and enjoy the rocking chair when you get through security. We thank you, Alan, as always, sir.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.